Okay, so I kind of want to go ahead and continue our coverage over Nightwing from the 1990s. And the reason why, because I kind of love the idea of us exploring the early days of Dick Grayson being in a brand new city on his own, being in Bloodhaven, and also kind of seeing like what DC was trying to do when it came to his character, giving him his own rogue gallery. And matter of fact, we're going to meet one of his first members of his rogue gallery, a character known as Lady Vic. And this kind of works out perfectly well when it comes to Lady Vic in her first appearance. And here's the reason why. Because remember, the only reason why you have Nightwing right now over in Bloodhaven is because 21 dead bodies had appeared over in Gotham. And so for Batman, he knew that all these different gang members, they belong to a certain gang that's being led by Angel Marin. The problem is that no one has seen him in a very long time. But for Dick, he went over to Bloodhaven to hopefully find him. And of course, he had no luck finding him at all. And so for Dick, he has no choice but to stay over time in Bloodhaven until he can figure out what exactly is going on in this city. But for Lady Vic, it's completely different because with her, it's her saying like, hey, I'm a mercenary. I'm an assassin. You pay for my services. And so the problem is right now, she has not been paid. And so you have her going after different members of Angel's gang to hopefully find him so that she'll hopefully get paid. The problem is that for a while there, she couldn't find anybody who actually knew where Angel was at until she found somebody who could possibly lead her to somebody else who could help her to find Angel. And that will be Maxwell Reed, his lawyer. His lawyer might know where he's hiding at. But while you have Lady Vic getting that information, so does Nightwing as well, but from a different character. And that would be from a character known as Inspector Soames. Now, for Inspector Soames, he's this cop who's right now playing both sides when it comes to being a cop, but also helping out the crime lords in Bloodhaven as well. Now, technically, we do not know his overall goal here at this point in time in DC Comics. But for Dick Grayson, he does not know that technically Soames is playing both sides. And so for Dick, he believes that Soames is really a good cop that just has some good intel. And so you have Soames say, listen, if you're trying to find Angel, you need to find his lawyer, Maxwell. Now for Dick Grayson, his main goal is to stop a gang war from happening in Bloodhaven between Angel's gang and also Black Mask, who's trying to move into Bloodhaven territory. Now, for a brief moment, we do get a chance to see Lady Vic out of her superhero outfit, see her as a regular person, but somebody who might come from money. So you're kind of wondering like, okay, what is her actual origin? This is the starting point for us learning more about this character and what is her role in this storyline when it comes to Nightwing being in Bloodhaven. But now we're kind of able to shift our focus back over to Dick Grayson, which honestly works out because we're seeing Dick Grayson trying to be his own man. Like, yes, he got an apartment in Bloodhaven, but the problem is he needs some money to be able to pay for that apartment. So, he gotta go get a job. And so he gets a job at a bar called Hogan's Alley. Now, Hogan's Alley is owned by a character known as Hank Hogan. Now, for Hank Hogan, he's kind of like, yeah, Dick, you know what? You're hired and you're going to work the morning. Now, for Dick Grayson, this is great. And the reason why, because this bar is a cop bar. And so for Dick, he should be able to collect different pieces of intel that could possibly help him bring justice into this city. Now, earlier, I had mentioned the fact that when it came to Black Mask, he was trying to move in on Bloodhaven territory. And so he has sent in the False Face Society, a group of people who just wear masks to hide their true identities, but still working for the Black Mask. Now, every single time they tried to make a move in Bloodhaven, they were stopped by Dick Grayson. But here comes the big catch. You see, they were getting all their info from one particular character, Inspector Soames. And so for the False Face Society, they're kind of getting upset about the idea of being stopped by Nightwing every single time. And every single time they make a move in Bloodhaven, it was coming from, Inspector Soames. And so they wanted to have a bit of payback. But then we kind of find out that Inspector Soames is working for somebody else who's trying their best to take over Bloodhaven. Now, getting back over to Dick Grayson, he does find a character who can possibly help him find Maxwell Reed. And that'll be a character known as Biff Tooley. And I really hope I pronounced that first name correctly. Now, for Tooley, he was just seen at the very beginning of our video where you had Lady Vic go to him to get information out of him. And so you do have Dick being able to collect more information from him about where to possibly find Maxwell Reed. Now, for Dick Grayson, he has no idea that Biff Tooley is being watched by the police. They're listening in. And so once they hear that Biff had just told Dick where to go, they call in Inspector Soames. So now we're getting the idea that Inspector Soames is most likely not really a good cop, more like a crooked cop. Now, Biff told Dick Grayson, hey, you can find Maxwell on his yacht. And so you have Nightwing head over to Maxwell's yacht, where, of course, he does find Maxwell. Here comes the problem, though, because for Maxwell, he freaks out, where technically I don't blame him. You wake up and you see a guy in a superhero outfit on your yacht saying, hey, I'm here to help you. No, I'm not gonna lie, I would freak out as well. But either way, you do have more guards come in to fight against Nightwing. Now things get even more complicated because you didn't have Lady Vic appear. Now, when she does appear, she has a hostage, and that hostage is Maxwell's daughter. But let's not forget that all of this is being done because everyone is looking for Angel. And we kind of find out that the reason why no one can find Angel because he is a prisoner for somebody else. And matter of fact, the mysterious person tells Angel, hey, go ahead and write down every single piece of information about your operations in Bloodhaven. So we're kind of left to wonder who in the world has captured Angel and what are they going to do with him? But as we dive into the second half of the story, it's now really more of us kind of picking up with Angel still being interrogated. The only difference is now you have our mysterious person ask Angel about the different people who work for him. Kind of hey, what about this person or this person? And you have Angel kind of describe what each person's job is in his operation. But when it comes to Maxwell, he says, oh, that dude right there is just another lawyer. The only things he know is what I have told him, and that's really it. Which means that technically this whole entire next section is, pointless because you do have Nightwing trying to fight against Lady Vic, but at the same time trying his best to protect Maxwell, but to also protect Maxwell's daughter, Maxine. And so after a few pages, you do really have Nightwing really being able to help Maxwell out and also protect his daughter as well. There's a small explosion on the boat, but you do have almost every single person who is important for the storyline being able to escape. So Nightwing, Maxwell, Maxine, and also Lady Vic. Now, all the different people who have worked for Maxwell is most likely dead. But really, when it comes to Dick Grayson, he does ask Maxwell, hey, do you know where Angel is at? And he says no, but technically I'm not the big guy you should be looking for who may know where Angel is at. That is somebody else. But he also tells Dick, dude, I'm not going to tell you anything at all about the other person that you should be looking for. Now, for Lady Vic, she is very angry at Nightwing, but the main reason why she's upset because she had lost her Bundy daggers. Now, these daggers are very important to her family. So, of course, she's kind of like, that dude right there, I want to take him down. Because of him, I lost something that was very close to me and my family. Now, the following day for Dick is him still continuing to learn more about Bloodhaven, how bad it truly is, because the next morning he has to go to work, right? And while working at this bar that's made for cops, he has cops coming in getting drunk. Now, for him, he believed that these are cops who have worked overnight. They're just getting off their overnight shift. But you have Hank say, no, those guys right there, yeah, no. They're going into the shifts drunk. And so it's Dick realizing that He's on his own here when it comes to bringing justice into this city. Now, for Inspector Soames, let's not forget, the chief of the police department told him, like, I need you to deal with Nightwing. And so you had Soames promise the chief that he will accomplish that goal. But after talking to the chief, he then goes to meet up with Lady Vic. Now, this is him paying her off, saying like, hey, listen, I heard that Angel owed you a lot of money. So how about this? I'll give you the money that you were owed, but also extra money as well, because I want to hire you. And so most likely it's going to be Soames try to use her as a way to get rid of Nightwing. Now, she does say, hey, you know what? I gotta leave. And the reason why, because she's heading over Gotham City. And so the last page is really more of us seeing her now becoming her true identity, better known as Lady Elaine. Now, for Elaine, it's her kind of coming from a family of money, royalty. And so we see her at this big time party where she does meet up with Bruce Wayne, kind of leaving us wondering what is her big game plan when it comes to Bruce. But with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.